bringing sports, entertainment, and technology podcasts together. This is SPNT.
SPNT's Thursday Tech Talk is brought to you by Stitcher Smart Radio. Download the Stitcher Smart Radio app today at stitcher.com/SPNT.
Welcome to SPNT's Thursday Tech Talk, the show where we bring you the biggest stories in the world of video games, computers, tablets, mobile phones, and more. Now here's your host, Nick and, well, Nick. Two Nicks, if you didn't catch that. I'm not sure which Nick is which. Maybe they can tell you when they come on the mic. In fact, please do, guys. Maybe one of you is Nicky, maybe one of you is Nicholas. It makes it easier for the listening audience.
Oh, you gotta love that. My Uncle Rob, he's a funny dude. I am Nick Superling. I'm joined alongside my co-host, my tag team partner, my partner in crime, Nick Wallace. He is not Nicky. Man. He is not Nicholas. He is Nick to me, or Wallace. What's happening, man? How you been?
Good, man. How you been?
I'm doing all right. It's Thursday Tech Talk here at SPNT.TV. A big week. I think we're going to talk about an iPhone.
I think there's going to be some iPhone talk a little bit on this rundown.
Are you sure? I think okay. All right. A lot to get to this week. Of course, the iPhone the new iPhone 5. We'll touch on that. There's obviously some other news as far as video gaming goes. So why don't we get right into our tech headlines? Let's try that again.
Headlines.
Unless you were living in a cave this week, you probably noticed that Apple decided to announce a little product called the iPhone 5. Yes, folks, that's right. Now, is this iPhone a complete disappointment by just catching up to Android, or is this a revolutionary new phone like the iPhone 1 was? We'll tell you in a bit.
Google announced Tuesday morning the release of its own free YouTube app for iOS, now available immediately in the App Store. The launch comes just ahead of Apple's expected launch of iOS 6, which will no longer include the Apple-developed YouTube app for iPhone or iPad. The app was built by YouTube engineers and has an interface that is quite similar to other Google-developed apps for the Apple platform. One downfall already noticed by some users is that the app currently does not support AirPlay.
Some big video game news today for you fans of the Big N in Japan. Nintendo had a press conference today announcing the Wii U details. We got specs. We got a price. We got colors. We got all kinds of information out of Big N. Are they going to turn this around with the hardcore gaming audience, or are they going to continue to support just the casual?
Bill Moggridge, the man behind the first laptop computer, passed away at the age of 69 on Saturday following a battle with cancer. The British-born designer, author, and educator created the Grid Compass clamshell computer in 1979. The computer, which sold for $8,150 in 1982, was encased in magnesium and was used by the U.S. military and NASA. There are a number of portable computers being developed at the same time as the Grid Compass. However, Moggridge pushed for the foldable design because the screen, keyboard, and circuitry could all fit into a comfortable and truly portable design. Amazing to think where we would be today without this invention.
Usually every year around this time kicks off a big season for gamers. That's right, the pre-holiday rush of games, the fall video game season. Next week, Borderlands 2 is going to kick it off, and we're going to discuss many of these upcoming games that you're going to see in the fourth and first quarter of the upcoming year.
As promised, the complete list of 180 fiber hoods qualified for Google Fiber service has been announced. With it, the approximate construction schedule has also been posted online, confirming Hanover Heights in Kansas and Crown Center in Missouri. They'll lead off the deployment for their respective areas. If you live in a qualifying area and have not signed up yet, you will be able to sign up or change plans until installations actually begin, which will be October 2nd in Hanover Heights. If you're still waffling, remember, Google Fiber has ESPN now. And that's a look at our tech headlines for this week. Let's take a quick break to tell you about Gazelle.com. Gazelle offers you a fast and easy way to get cold hard cash for your used electronics. Got an old iPhone, maybe an old iPad, or maybe a smartphone you're no longer using? You've got cash just sitting around your house and you don't even know it. Sell those devices to Gazelle. They offer free shipping, secure data removal, and they'll even send a box for your gadgets to make packaging easy. More than 350,000 folks have used Gazelle to sell nearly 1 million gadgets. It's easy to sell a device to Gazelle. Just visit spnt.tv/Gazelle. Select your device, tell them the condition, and receive an online offer for it. They'll inspect it to verify the item's condition, and sometimes they'll determine the phone is worth more than the initial offer. They will quickly issue payment by PayPal, check, or Amazon gift card. So check it out today. Get some cold, hard cash in those pockets from our friends at Gazelle.com. All right, Nick, so we have a question via Twitter. His name is Jared. He's also a Notre Dame football fan, just like you and I.
All right.
He wanted to know, because he's in the market for a cell phone, that he wanted to know what he should do as far as the iPhone goes. He, obviously the big announcement this week that the iPhone 5 is being launched. He's in the market, but he wanted to know as far as the difference. He's thinking of getting an iPhone. Is there a big difference between the iPhone 4S and 5? Really don't want to spend $200 on a phone.
Yeah, there's not really a big difference. Let's go ahead and go through what Apple actually announced for the iPhone 5. So the first thing that everybody noticed, that it has a bigger screen. It's now 4 inches tall, so that's a complete extra row of icons for all the people using iPhones. You have a whole extra row in there. I tried out using my iPhone currently. Imagining the top here is where the new row of icons were. They're still easily reachable by your thumb if you're just holding the phone in your hand. So the screen shouldn't be out of reach. On some of the bigger Android handsets, it's hard to reach the extreme corner if you don't have a big hand. So that was the first big thing that everybody noticed. The second thing that I think is important is under the hood, it's got the A6 processor. It's a faster processor. Apple doesn't give out specs that often, but what they say it's 2 times faster than the iPhone 4S. The other thing that they really announced is iOS 6. That goes along with the iPhone 5. There usually is a big OS release to coincide with a new phone. But a lot of the features in iOS 6 are going to be available in the iPhone 4S. So really what you're going to get out of this is you're going to get a bigger phone, faster processor, and if you're a photography buff, you're going to get a way better camera. They already got picture comparisons up with people who have pre-release iPhones. The picture quality is unbelievable. There's no argument with the photography community that the iPhone is the best cell phone camera out there. They really take the time to make it the best, and the iPhone 5 blows the iPhone 4S out of the water when it comes to pictures. So, and the other thing you're going to get is a better FaceTime camera. It's now 720p, so when you're talking to people, you'll look good, but if they're using an older one, they'll look like crap. So, I don't know how big of a huge difference that is. And the new camera on the back can record in 1080p video. It couldn't before. It was 720p. Now it's 1080p full HD video recording on the iPhone. The thing I'm really excited about is the casing of the phone. It is now a unibody design made out of mostly metal and not glass. I know so many people who have dropped their iPhones only to have it spider instantly on the back and the front because both were made out of glass. It looks beautiful. I ain't going to argue with that, but when it comes to phones, everyone drops their phone once at least when they own the thing. So They made a more sturdy case design. Now I think it's a huge deal. I might be overreacting, but the dock connector has finally changed. We no longer have the 30-pin dock connector. We now have a new 8-pin dock connector. Apple is going to have adapters for sale, but today, it was either today or yesterday, I saw they finally did the price. I think it was today. $30 for the adapter. I think that's outrageous. I think for the dedicated Apple fans, they should have released it cheaper, $10, maybe even less. I think that's a little. I know Apple loves to make money, but $10 just so you can use your old speaker dock with it. Because some of these speaker docks, like the Bose speaker dock, goes for $600. And if you just bought one, you have a 30 pin. Now you get a new iPhone, you have to buy an extra $30 adapter. I don't think that's that's right. I think if people are upgrading in the Apple store, what I would like to see, especially since Apple takes trade-in of old products, if you brought in your iPhone 4S for trade and bought an iPhone 5, I think you should get the adapter for free. I think that's a square deal. You're obviously an Apple supporter. You're giving them a phone. They can give you a discount on the new phone and the adapter for free, so you can use your old products.
But Nick, we want them to use Gazelle.com.
Definitely. I use Gazelle.com because guess what? Amazon gift card, you can't beat that.
That's true.
Put extra 5% for picking the Amazon.card gift card option. I actually did the comparison the other day with the trade-in prices on Gazelle versus the trade-in prices on Apple's trade-in program. Gazelle stomped them with the 5% easily. So definitely Gazelle.
So the golden question here, and I know we talked about it last week. You generally wait for the S because that's when they come out and they fix all the bugs and generally make the phone better. Is it better? So we know that it's better than a 4S because it's next generation, but at the same time,
specs it's completely better. Just specs, raw specs.
Okay. So the question is, are you going to get the iPhone 5?
Personally, no. I'm not going to get the iPhone 5. I'm out of contract, so if I walked in there, I have a 64-gigabyte iPhone 4S because I'm a music junkie. So it would cost me almost $1,000 out of pocket to get that thing, and I'm not going to shell out $1,000 for a phone. To anyone who's looking at whether or not to buy an iPhone 4S or an iPhone 5, the first question you need to ask yourself is how much space do I need on my phone? Because what Apple does when a new model comes out, the previous model goes to 16 gigabyte only. So if they run out of 32 and 64 and that's what you need in your 4S, then you're kind of stuck getting an iPhone 5. So that's the first question. How much space do you need? If you can live with 16 gig and you don't need the newest technology, you're not a photography nut, the bigger screen really is not that big of a deal, you're not as clumsy as I am, and you have a lot of old Apple dock connectors, I say get the 4S. I don't think this is a monumental upgrade. When we get to the software part of it, to me, I think they played catch up on this round. I don't think they advanced. I don't think they pushed the envelope further. And anyway, iOS 6 is getting all the features for the iPhone 4S. They announced today that everyone was saying that the new panorama picture taking feature, which I know my Android friends out there are laughing because they've had for years now, was only going to be on the iPhone 5. But they said today the 4S can do it. The 4S processor can handle it. So we got that feature. All the other software features, I didn't see anything in there that's going to be iPhone 5 exclusive. So if you're going to get a 4S and you can, if you can live with 16 gigs, if that's all that's available, I say stick with it. I owned a 3G, and it had some problems, and the 3GS didn't. So that's why I switched to the S releases. I'll stick to that secondary release. I think that's a good rule for anybody in tech. Don't buy the initial release. Buy the second revision because it's much more stabler. Look at the Xbox 360 as the prime example of that case.
I'll give you another example. I had the first generation BlackBerry Storm, and the second version was way better.
It was way better. I remember you having that phone, and you could, and I mean the button click idea of the screen was a neat idea, but there were only certain parts of the screen you could push, or else you really had to slam down hard because there was only certain point locations that it was attached. And yeah, that was a RIM. I just want to go buy him a shovel and help him.
But you know what though? At the time, it was their version of a smartphone. It was their iPod or their iPhone. So
yeah, at that time it was really hard. The Android phone out at the time was the G1, which was a load of crap. It was was a horrible phone. I thought it was underpowered. Android software was pretty much nothing at that point. Didn't have any apps. It had a lot of cool open source crazy stuff, but for a person who wants to use their phone for business, you can't have a phone that's just open source crazy stuff. It doesn't work that way. So you really only had a choice between a Windows phone, which we all know how Windows Phone 6 was. It was enjoyable. BlackBerry, or an iPhone. And if you didn't want an iPhone, your best choice was the Storm. So, I mean, back then Apple had no competition. Now they got tons, and I think we're better for it. Because on the iOS 6 software-wise, we're getting a lot of features that Android already has. We're getting built-in navigation. Granted, Google's probably will be better because they have more years on it. We're getting a panoramic camera feature. We're getting photo sharing, Facebook integration. Like Android already has, every app can integrate. We now have Twitter and Facebook. We're also getting, of course, you're going to get stability updates. It's going to run faster. You always get that with a big OS release. But iOS 6 is just, to me, is playing just catch up with what Android already has. Now, that's not untypically Apple. Apple's most likely not first to the draw with the actual software itself. They'll strike early, like they did with the iPhone. Here, we're going to reinvent the phone. Here it is. But after that initial lightning strike, it doesn't move at a fast pace at all. We're going to do it slow. We're going to do it correctly. Google, on the other hand, has caught up with the iPhone and arguably surpassed them in an amazing fast amount of time. Because they have the opposite. We're just going to develop as fast as heck, and if it doesn't work, we'll kick it out later. You're essentially a beta tester with Google.
So let's. If somebody wants to buy a 4S right now, is that a phone that they could get for free with a new contract, do you think?
No, the Apple announced that the 4 is going to be the free phone.
Okay.
But the 4 is not going to
the 4.
Yeah, the 4 can't do everything in iOS 6.
It doesn't have Siri.
Yeah, it doesn't have that. It's going to have the limitations. So that's why I say if you're going to get it, if you have to have the newest technology, go ahead and get the 5. You're not going to be unhappy with it if you're already using an iPhone. If you don't need the latest technology and you want to save some money, the 4S is not a bad buy by any stretch of the means. Because take it from me, I love new technology. I rush out and buy it. I'm one of those people that does that, except for phones, because I use that for day-to-day life. But a new computer comes out, I want to go get it. A new console comes out, I want to go get it.
Right.
I'm not going to rush out and upgrade to that. I didn't rush out and buy the iPad 3. I'm sticking with my iPad 2. It works just fine. I'd say the 4S is a safe bet. If you want to save some money, you're not going to be disappointed. And if you want to get the bigger storage space, I recommend going to the carrier to buy it instead of an Apple store, because Apple gets through their stock a lot faster. The carrier might have some lying around if you want to get a 32 or a 64 gig.
So there's your answer, Jared. There's not much of a difference, and if you're looking to save money, we here at Thursday Tech Talk recommend getting the 4S phone. I mean, do you want to? It really depends on how much you want to spend, and that's what it comes down to.
We got some new news today from the carriers about the iPhone. AT&T not going to let you do FaceTime over cellular. That's another new feature of iOS 6. And then speaking of which, we didn't go through every feature of iOS 6. We don't have a 2-hour presentation window like Apple does. But go to apple.com. Everything's laid out for you there, and you can watch the keynote where they explain to it in detail. Or I'm sure there's a dedicated podcast out there that just went through the iPhone launch. You can watch that and get all the features. We're just giving you the highlights. AT&T not going to allow FaceTime over their network without extra charges. Verizon is. Sprint is. So if that's important to you and your contract's up and you want to use FaceTime, you might want to consider switching. If you want unlimited data, you got Sprint. If you already have a restricted data plan, Verizon has that, you're fine. Verizon also announced that people who have unlimited data plans currently and want to upgrade to the iPhone 5 will not get the contract price. They have to buy the full price of the phone because Verizon's trying to push people off that unlimited data plan.
I know.
That's not all that stuff has nothing to do with Apple. We've learned from Google, we've learned from Apple, we've learned from everybody that these phone manufacturers, to be on these networks, got to play ball and give away certain things. Apple did a lot to demand in the initial, and we got better for it because we got the iPhone, we got Android, we got YouTube on our. That's AT&T in the initial didn't want YouTube. So, I mean, we got some stuff, but they got to play ball. So, really look at your carrier, talk to them. If they're not going to treat you right as a good customer, if you've been with them for a while, the iPhone is on every network except T-Mobile. It's even on some pay-as-you-go. And Cricket said they're going to have the iPhone 5 a week later. So if you're a pay-as-you-go customer, you can wait and go on Cricket. They're going to have the iPhone 5 as well. So just do your research, and you'll get by.
Absolutely. Before we move on, just want to remind everybody that Thursday Tech Talk comes at you live each and every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We've got a good friend of ours in the chat room, Nick, Anthony, also known as Toledo's Pod. He's in the chat room chatting away. Hope you're having fun, Anthony. We miss you. Anthony, an old coworker of ours, and he's a lunatic Brit. Not really lunatic. I just wanted to say lunatic Brit. But Anthony's a good dude, and we're glad you joined us in the chat room live and you tuned in, Anthony. So yeah, everybody, if you want to check out the show live, every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time at spnt.tv/live. All right, so Nick, what's some of our other headlines that we need to move on with?
To the awesome fall games, which I know you're excited about one of them.
Absolutely.
Let's knock out the Wii U. It's going to be quick because there's just all we're going to do is give you the specs of this thing and ask one question. Nick, you had a Wii, didn't you?
I did. For a very brief amount of time.
Yeah, I had one as well. So you sold yours, huh?
Yeah, it was awful.
I definitely got rid of that sucker as well. I love Zelda and I love Metroid, but it was not worth everything else. So we got the Wii U. It's announced. There's two versions coming to the U.S. You have the standard white, which is going to be $300, and that comes with an 8-gigabyte drive in there. And it has everything else is pretty much standard on that. It looks like a Wii U that we've already seen. The Wii U, what are they calling it? I saw 3 different articles use different name. Essentially, the deluxe version, I would call it the deluxe set of the Wii U, black console instead of white, which looks a lot better than white in my opinion. 32 gig internal, and comes with some extra bonuses. You can connect to the Premium Club on Nintendo. And you get some extra bonuses buying that extra $50. I would say if you're going to get one, I'd get the one with more storage space because the one advantage of the Wii is it has the virtual console. You can download all the old Nintendo games, Sega games, all the games from when we were kids. Sega. That's awesome. So I recommend getting that one. Other than that, we don't got too much other specs on it. It looks, to me, it's the same power as an Xbox or a PlayStation. So the question you need to ask yourself, fool me once, fool me twice. What's it going to be, folks?
I am not buying a Wii U. Nope, not going to happen. Can we talk about what's really important here?
We can talk about what's really important here.
All right, so Sunday night I'm watching the Steelers get their butts kicked by the Denver Broncos, and I saw a commercial, and it was I've never been so, and I've played video games a long time in my life, Nick. I have never been so excited, so pumped after seeing this commercial for Assassin's Creed 3. Man, I can't wait. Oh, that promo with the little P. Diddy song behind it. Oh, it got me so amped up. I'm ready to. I should start camping out now.
I mean, I'm glad they're doing it. The last Assassin's Creed game, Brotherhood.
And I didn't play Brotherhood, so I don't know what that's like. Oh, all right then.
That was okay. And then they turned out the next one, which I'm blanking on the title because I didn't even get it. It finished up the trilogy of Ezio Auditore, but all I heard was the first level is quick time events, and then you have to maintain tower defense games. That's not Assassin's Creed to me, so I just totally ignored it and didn't even pay attention.
Revelations was the last one.
Yeah, Brotherhood was pretty good. Brotherhood was like the end of Assassin's Creed 2. It took place in Rome. Here's what we couldn't fit in the game.
That was bizarre, by the way.
Yeah, it was a decent story, great ending. I'll say the ending was great. The ending took me by surprise. But Revelations, it was. I mean, some people like it. I just wasn't my cup of tea. But now I'm right with you. Super excited. American Revolution, tomahawks, swinging from trees, flying around, killing bears, killing the British. Sorry, Anthony. And it's gonna be an amazing game to see come out. I'm really excited about that one. The only question is for me: do I get it on the 360 or the PS3? It looks like PlayStation's got some extra perks with it, so I'm thinking about that one because it's going to connect to other games. And don't forget, Nick, naval combat.
Yes, I saw that in the promo. I was shocked to see, the massive cannons and the boats, and we all know the graphics are fantastic for this game. I mean, it's given. Look at the consoles we're on. I mean, these things are amazing, but I cannot. I've always, and it's so funny, growing up, I've always been intrigued by, the Revolutionary War and the Civil War for that matter. And I've always wanted to play a game like that in those theaters. Yeah, we've played World War II. We've played Vietnam. We've done all the Call of Duties and even today, modern warfare. But I've always wanted to do a Revolutionary War or Civil War type game, and now we've got it. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I think the problem why they never did it was, how do you tell a story that we don't already know? How do you make it exciting?
Well, they do with Call of Duty all the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think people were looking at these two time periods trying to tell it literally. Call of Duty went off on the crazy angle, and just made it Michael Bay. That's what they did. They did it well. And I think Assassin's Creed is approaching it with the same thing. It's going to be based on history. There's a lot of stuff in Assassin's Creed 2 that is in Italian history. It's there. I've been to those places when I went to Italy. There's history in it. It's not fact that that didn't happen. So taking that history and building an awesome story on top of it, how can you not hit a home run?
How much do you want to bet that you're up in the church tower in Boston with Paul Revere, climbing up there to put the two lights up there? I'm just guessing. I don't know.
They could even go off the wall and say, yeah, American history wrote Paul Revere did it when it wasn't Paul Revere. It was actually you, because Paul Revere got delayed or something where you had to save the day. They can totally switch it up and go off of it because the entire thread through that series is that conspiracy versus the Templars versus the Assassins. So they can take it to extremes, which is going to be awesome. So the whole thing with it's going to be great. I'm really excited for this fall game season. Next week, Borderlands 2. I was a Borderlands fiend when that thing came out. I played it on the PC all the way through, and then because I loved it so much, I bought it on the PlayStation 3 when it went to $15 and played it through again. Platinum the game, got every achievement, every DLC. That game is amazing. I'm not really sold on Diablo 3 right now. It's not the Diablo I remember, but Borderlands 3 is the next best cure. It's an awesome first-person shooter, and guess what? It's fun and it's funny. My biggest problem right now with FPS is everybody is going this gritty, dark Michael Bay realism. And it's not even real, because believe me, the guys in these games would have been dead before the first chapter ends with all the stuff that's happening. Borderlands, amazing fun. 4-player co-op done right. So, Nick, if I'm playing it, you can jump in. Hey, guess what? You got to go because the kids need something. You jump out, I keep going.
Wow.
It's 4-player co-op done correct. On consoles, you got split screen. So if you want to, I know a buddy of mine plays with his wife. They play through the whole game together, split screen co-op, and you just have a good time. There are so many games coming out this fall that are unbelievably awesome. I think we should ask everyone out there what their favorite one was. You know, what are you looking forward to that was announced to come out this holiday season, and what do you want to play the most? I know we got Halo 4. That's going to be a big one. You got Assassin's Creed, which we already talked about. Of course, there's the Call of Duty. We just had Madden and NHL, so the sports game guys are getting their games coming out.
FIFA's coming out, I think, in a couple weeks. I'll probably be getting that one too.
I bet FIFA sells better than Madden because guess what?
Oh, yeah.
You got the entire world buying FIFA. You just got the U.S. buying Madden and maybe a couple crazy people overseas who call it handball. Probably.
You'd be surprised though. There's a lot of people overseas that play Madden. Like my co-host of Red versus Red here on the SPNT network, Mike Smith, he plays Madden as well on the PlayStation 3, which is a bummer because I'm on the Xbox. So if anybody wants to sell their PlayStation 3 to me, I'm interested.
Yeah, man, you're gonna love it. Free online play, you can't beat that. So, and I got a good article here on Game Informer that I just looked up for the fall game releases coming out. We just had Guild Wars 2. I'm playing it right now. Free to play once you buy it. MMO. Guess what, folks? Believe me, it beats World of Warcraft. There's no subscription fee. The graphics are awesome. The people are awesome, and it's not a mundane task fest where you just keep redoing the same things.
So,
go ahead, man.
I was gonna say, yeah. So if you're excited about a certain, if there's a game that you're looking at that you're really excited for this winter season, this Christmas season, hit us up. You can email us at techtalk@spnt.tv. You can also follow us on Twitter. We are at SPNT Tech Talk.
Oh, wait, the one crazy thing we forgot to mention, the Wii U release date, November 18th. So you got a console coming out this fall if you're a Nintendo gamer. 50 launch games on that sucker, too.
Crickets. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's a lot of Nintendo fans out there, but I'm telling you, the Wii, for me, once I figured out how to hit 10 home runs in Wii Sports, it's over. It's done with.
Wii Sports was for your grandparents. It wasn't for us hardcore.
That is true. So should we do our? I say it every week. I should get some kind of sound effect or intro for our app of the week, but I haven't done it.
Haven't done it yet?
I'll make it a goal for next week. We will definitely have something. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll have something. What do you got for the app of the week?
So you might remember a couple weeks ago I recommended Where's My Water? Awesome puzzle game, fun to play. Guess what? I found out they had another one called Where's My Perry? Now, I don't watch Disney Channel cartoons. Nick, maybe you can tell me about this guy if your kids see it. Perry the Platypus.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it either. It's essentially, see, Anthony in the chat room's got the exclamation point, man. It is so much fun. It's the same gameplay as Where's My Water, except now you got a goofy platypus on the screen, and it's quite challenging. I think it was harder than Where's My Water. I had to look up, and Where's My Water? There was 2 I got stuck on. This one, there was 4. I got it for 99 cents. At the height, I think it's $1.99 at the highest price. So, Android, iPhone, I'd pick it up.
All right. So my app of the week, I was watching on Sunday on my DirecTV NFL Red Zone, and they mentioned this new app called Vigil. Have you ever heard of it, Nick?
That would be a negative.
All right. So what this app does is you sign up for Vigil, you download the app, and you tell them your cable service provider. And so when you want to check in, the app actually listens to your television kind of like SoundHound or any kind of app, like where you're trying to find maybe a song or who sings a certain song, Vigil, it listens to your TV and it figures out exactly what you're watching. It'll tell you. So I happen to be watching the Minnesota Vikings and the I can't remember who they were playing, but it registered it, and then once you check in, you accumulate points, and the more points you accumulate, the more prizes that you are eligible to get. It's a free app. There's nothing paid. There's no ads. But I thought it was kind of cool that it listened to your television, and just based on what you were listening to, it knew exactly what you were watching.
This technology is out there now. You'll notice if you're watching commercials, you'll see
Shazam.
that Shazam logo on the side of the screen, so they can tell you what commercial you are and advertise to you based on that. I'm sure Vigil, the reason it's free is they're making their money off tracking the data that you watch. So they got data they can sell to advertisers that, hey, Nick likes to watch football. Let's give him some football related information. That's the trade-off we get for free. Facebook's free, we get advertised. Twitter's free, we get advertised. Folks, that's the way it is. You got to get some ads in there if you're giving it to free, so it can continue to be free to get to you. So that is really neat. That technology is cool. I wonder if they're going to turn it into a game-like thing, kind of like Foursquare.
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know.
So you're competing against your friends, like, hey, dude, I earned more points than you tonight because I watched Bird Notice and everything else, right in a row, and or you have to compete against categories. So I know we're both Notre Dame fans, so it's like, hey, I watch more Notre Dame football than you because I got my counters bigger. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
I just thought it was a good idea to keep the spirit alive.
Now, it doesn't know how long that you watch it. So all it determines is that you actually had it on. It registers that moment. So then if you change the channel, you can check in again, and it'll give you another check-in. So that's how it works. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, the game aspect of it would be kind of cool if they could determine how long you were actually watching that. Which, who knows? Maybe down the road that's where they'll take it.
Yeah, because one thing you don't want to do is have your speaker on that entire time where this company's capturing everything you're saying in your house. That's kind of creepy. I'm sorry. So maybe if there's a way they could determine, like if they know what part of the game you started watching in, and then at the end you could check out because they know what commercials are playing at the end of the game or the next show. You could essentially check in, check out. I mean, that's the only way I could think of to do it. You could scam it easily. You don't have to be watching the football game the whole time. I flip around when I'm watching football to other channels to see other games that's going on while the commercials are on anyway. So
trust me, I've got the Sunday ticket. I'm watching every football game I possibly can. Well worth it. So yeah, that's those are our apps of the week. If you have a suggestion for app of the week, make sure you hit us up via email. I do that every time, don't I? techtalk@spnt.tv is our email address. You can also follow us. We're on Twitter at SPNT Tech Talk. Nick, is there anything else we need to add before we head out of here?
yeah, all you Notre Dame fans better listen to Irish Impact.
I did not pay Nick to say that.
No, but you guys had some great stuff on Golson coming out. That threw me for a loop. I didn't know what was going on because to be honest, I was so exhausted. I fell asleep quarter 2, quarter 3. Woke up and I'm like, what's going on? What's Reese doing in? It kind of messed with me a little bit. But guys had some great talk on that. So Notre Dame fans, get out there, listen to Irish Impact. 2-0. Oh yeah.
Thanks for the free plug. I appreciate it, Nick.
I gotta tell them, man. The geeks out there gotta know because geeks are the ones who listen to podcasts all the time. They're the podcasters, and they got some Notre Dame fans out there. They gotta know where to get the best Notre Dame news.
I'm certainly the uber geek because I listen to a ton of podcasts, and now here I am producing a ton of podcasts. So, well, that is going to wrap up this edition of Thursday Tech Talk. We're glad that you can join us. Nick, have a great weekend. Try to enjoy the Notre Dame game this weekend, and I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, man. I'll take it easy next week. If you got anything you want to hear about, any requests for information, just shoot us up like we got on Twitter today. Give us an email. Whatever you got to do, get it to us. We'll take care of it. We'll give you all the news we possibly can.
Absolutely. That is going to do it for episode number 5 of Thursday Tech Talk. Tech Talk at spnt.tv. Follow us on Twitter at spnt Tech Talk. Thursday Tech Talk is an SPNT production. For more information about our other podcasts, log on to spnt.tv. For my co-host, Nick Wallace, I'm Nicholas Serberling. We'll see you next Thursday on Thursday Tech Talk.